Greetings, everybody. This is Serpentine451, and welcome to another episode of Weeb Warriors. Joining me, as always, is my good buddy Jordan, and
Hey, Tony.
and joining us once again to actually join our rotation for the summer anime season, as yet to be reviewed, is Jay. How you doing tonight, Jay?
Guys, consider me the mysterious transfer student. Only here for the summer.
But since we're on a bit of a time crunch on Jay's side of things, let's actually get to the shows that he's actually watched that we've been reviewing. So let's talk about Shield Hero first.
Okay, cool. I really enjoyed the Shield Heroes first season, just overall in like a broad sense. It was a really refreshing take on isekai, which, is the genre that has taken over anime over the past, I want to say, decade now, because I feel like it really started in like the '09, early 2010s. But I really like kind of the take of it's not just your OP protagonist, it's somebody who has to grind, and also instead of making him the hero, they made him into the villain who has to kind of play the role of the villain but is really the hero. And I thought that was a really cool character dynamic. And he's clearly flawed, he's done some shady things, but he really does mean well. I really like Naofumi as a character. Raftalia is dope. She got daughter zoned, which I think is hilarious. Philo is a great character. I like Melty, and I also give props to the author and the writers of this show for the fact that we legit named the king and the princess Trash and Bitch, and her adventure name is Slut. So yeah, good for y'all. Points to you. That was some great shit. Overall, it's a really good one, and honestly, it made me kind of interested in checking out the light novels because I've been hearing nothing but good things about those for a couple of years now, but now that I've seen the anime, I definitely want to actually check it out.
Oh, definitely. And with this last episode of Shield Hero, it really ends on more of an optimistic note of things for Naofumi and his party. Taking on, adding to his party, the yet another enemy, Sad Girl, who used to be an Eastie's party.
I love this chick. She's always been in the background, just quietly fucking up, and I'm just like, oh no. When she ended up on the boat, and then Melty was like, "Bitch, take me to Naofumi," and she's like, "Wait, I just got out of there. I almost died."
And it's also the in the fight between Glass and Naofumi in this way was a lot different compared to the first time they encountered each other.
That was a really cool
it was
fight.
a great
I enjoyed
fight.
That Naofumi is actually learning more about his skills now that he is aware of the basic rules of the game, which is another aspect that I like. A lot of these isekai protagonists in these different stories are good at the game that they were playing before they got transferred in, so they're OP in that regard. Now Fumi had no idea what this game was, and so he literally had to learn from the ground up.
Fucker came from a book that teleported them in this world.
Which, to be fair, is just the trashiest way to get hoed.
Right?
Yeah.
One thing to get dragged into an isekai world where you know the system is an entirely different beast when a book drags you in. You didn't even get to finish the damn book.
Right?
Yeah.
It'd be like if you picked up Game of Thrones and ended up at the Red Wedding. What the fuck?
Oh Lord.
Ooh, yeah.
Nobody sends anybody's regards.
No, not at all. And
it's oh, this is some real nice music. Oh shit! Whoa! They just stabbed that pregnantly.
Yep. And the Useless Warriors 3, aka the other Cardinal Heroes, all went to the other world because they died in different circumstances.
If one of them was, I bet you, Moteyasu was killed by Truck-kun. Truck-kun tried to do the world a favor.
No?
And get rid of that.
How Moteyasu died is that...
No, Moteyasu died by like a jealous lover or something.
Yeah.
Like
He got killed by a yandere, actually.
Oh, he got killed by a yandere. Okay.
Because, okay.
Are you shocked? Are you surprised?
Okay, so here's the thing about that, Jay. With Moteyasu...
Was it a lolly yandere? Because I feel like it would definitely have been a lolly yandere.
No, Moteyasu has an angel fetish. But what I'm about to say here, Jay, much like he is in the series proper, he is a promiscuous dude. And he's been dating multiple people. Mm-hmm. So, one of his exes, who became a yandere, decided to stab him in jealousy.
Okay, so he basically got school dazed.
And he...
Yeah, so he got school dazed, is what you're saying.
Yes, he did.
He was fucking around too much, and the yandere bitch of the group of girls he was fucking around stabbed him to death. Yeah, so school dazed.
Yeah.
Got it.
And the best thing about that, he is terrified of those kinds of women. When he transferred to the other...
Look, not to like shame the weebs out there that like love their yanderes, but y'all should genuinely be terrified of these women.
Yes, indeed, you should be terrified. But
It's definitely a little weird that men find yandere to be attractive. Any group of men find yandere to be attractive. This behavior in a man would definitely be something to be concerned about. For a woman, like if you put the godly characteristics on a male character, that's a villain, right? That's
called a serial killer.
Yeah.
Y'all want to know a good example of a real life male yandere? His name was Ted Bundy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was gonna say you're gonna dispute it because I got.
Oh. But back to the task at hand, gentlemen. And also, I hope that the other three heroes do actually become more useful. Again, I'm not familiar with the source material. No, they become dicks.
Long time before they pull it all together. But I do believe they get some utility.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Good,
some utility, not a whole lot, but it's a long road. Plus, they like being dicks for no goddamn reason.
Well, yeah, that's why I don't refer to Moteyasu as Moteyasu. I call him Chad Spearman.
Right. And honestly, actually, I was reading about it. The author, I'm sure that you've all, at least Tony knows, but I'm sure that you probably noticed it, Jeremy, never had words to it. The other three heroes are actually based off of traditional isekai protagonists, and they have all of the qualities that they would normally possess, but removed from this sort of rose-tinted
definitely, because like it has to be no coincidence that like Sword Dude looks almost exactly like Kirito from Sword Art.
Right, because they're all supposed to represent something. Like Moteyasu is definitely the harem building ladies' man who is like dragged around by his emotions and hearts, and it doesn't think at all, just acts.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think of what's Bo Boy's name?
Itsuki.
I only call them Bo and Sword because I don't bother knowing their names.
It's Itsuki.
I know Moteyasu is because mine.
That's the only reason I know Moteyasu is because mine says it all the time. So I'm like, okay, I know your name is Moteyasu.
Then you have the sword hero Ren, and Itsuki's the bow hero.
Okay, Ren and Itsuki. Okay, got it.
Right, I hate Itsuki the most. I hate Itsuki the absolute most.
Because he's the fakest. He's the fakest of the three, I feel.
He's definitely the fakest, but also the things that he was supposed to represent, I just hate. Right? He's the morally absolute, humble hero that does things in the name of good and justice and other bullshit.
Oh, so you're saying he's the Shiro Emiya of these like trio of assholes. Okay.
Oh.
Got it.
And then
nobody likes
the Jon Snow of this world, where he's out here always trying to do the good thing and completely ignoring what's actually practical and won't get a bunch of innocent people slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, because, people die if they are killed.
That is true. These are the facts.
Deep insight right there.
Yeah.
And Ren acts pretty much alone without his party.
Easily the most tolerable of the other three.
Yeah, because his archetype is just kind of like the generic stoic badass loner.
Yes, but he takes a turn, right? Because people typically like him the most in the beginning, that I've heard about through the light novels, is that he makes a series of decisions later on that make people really hate him.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he does things that you would imagine a lone wolf would do when given leadership responsibility. He fumbles it terribly.
Oh man, that's interesting. But yeah, the reason I hate Ishiki the most is because Ishiki, not only is he like the moral absolute type, he's also just super fake. He pretends to be nice, but like in his head he's talking shit, and like to his whole party he's talking shit. And when Nafumi's trying to be logical and practical, he's like, "What are you talking about? I was just trying to help." Like, yo, bitch, you clearly weren't trying to help. You were just thinking of you.
Yep, and it's also
trying to help people. I'm sure of it. He's one of those types of people that like go to a third world country and take pictures of himself painting the same church for the third time this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're helping. No, you aren't, Becky. Go back home.
Oh my goodness.
But the best thing about Shield Heroes ending as an anime, well, if it comes back, that is.
I'm sure it's gonna come back with how popular it is.
True, but I like how this ending for these episodes, like this set of episodes at least, really solidified how Naofumi, even though he was dealt the shittiest of hands in this world, he ended up making out okay at the end.
He finally got to like clear his name. Also, Queen is best girl, total MILF, Monarch I'd like to fuck. Just putting that out there.
I mean,
like,
the Queen is the most reasonable of
exactly.
the royalty, other than Melty, of course. I mean, but Melty, since she's next in line for the throne, she has that in her favor. But the other two, trash and bitch, they have nothing.
Also, it's pretty interesting that they actually have a blue-haired Soon. Usually the Soon is a redhead, and the Kudere is the blue-haired one.
Right. I mean, let's not pretend that people are deep here, right? Like,
yeah.
We're definitely going with things that are easily assignable. Also, I think it's just an aspect of character design, right? There's no reason to fight people's expectations when you can use them to really establish a brand, right? Like, Kudares with pale-colored hair, blue, gray, white.
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, the cliches are never a bad thing. I feel like they're cliche because they work. Like, as long as you play them correctly and aren't just you doing them in a lazy way, it can work. And, that's the thing with Shield Hero. They take a lot of the cliches. Sure, they subvert a lot of it, but the cliches that they do use, like, in the traditional sense, they work for the story. And that's what makes it such a solid watch.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as the series would go on in the manga and the light novel, Sad Girl actually gets trained by that old lady martial artist.
Grandma Roshi over here is dope. I like her a lot. She's awesome. Like, I would like a side story about her, like, younger days adventuring, because she seems pretty badass.
Well, as the series continues, Jay, I highly recommend that you read the manga and check out the light novels, because currently what's going on right now, well, at least in the manga, they are fighting a giant-ass turtle.
Oh no, don't mention the turtle. Move right along. Next series.
Okay.
Tony's gonna give something away if he talks about the turtle.
Alright.
I don't want to talk about the turtle. I'm just saying they fight a giant turtle.
Okay. Yeah.
So, why don't we talk about One Punch Man?
Alright, so I haven't really gotten a chance to talk to y'all about this. So what is y'all's opinion on, like, the whole JC staff, like, his Madhouse in terms of animation quality? Honestly, I didn't notice that big of a difference. Like, yeah, like, there are some, like, derpy shots, but, like, I didn't consider it bad at all.
I'm gonna agree.
Right, so I definitely think that Madhouse did a better job with some of like the still images, where it really did like the hyper realistic close-ups. Mm-hmm. But as a conversation about like overall animation quality, I didn't see a decrease. Honestly, I think that they did a very faithful reproduction of Madhouse's animation without being a direct.
Yeah. And also, it was relatively consistent. Like, at least it wasn't one of those ones, like, certain other anime, Black Clover, where you can have really, really good episodes, and then all of a sudden, next week, it looks like the line art from the ending of Evangelion.
Like that. Don't do them like that. Also, just to be fair to the people that make Black Clover, even though I can't listen to it, I can't listen to the sub because Asuka's voice is cancer. They are under a lot of pressure. Black Clover is possibly one of the most popular animes in Japan right now. They are at an immense workload.
I totally understand the working conditions, and I'm not, like, blaming them. I'm just saying, like, they should honestly, I read the manga. Black Clover is a great series, but, like, this is definitely one of those ones that should get the My Hero treatment and just have one of those, be one of the ones that, like, does a season every year and puts out, like, a core every.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised at how that Black Clover is one of those 52 episode seasons.
Yeah, the long running shonen formula should be well, I mean, I'm not saying it isn't dead, but it should be dead. I mean, One Piece obviously is going to stick with it because One Piece is one of the OG big three when that format was like at its height, and it's not just going to stop.
That is just saying, One Piece is known for its all over the fucking place animation style.
I'm a One Piece fan, and I will never try to say that One Piece has the greatest animation of all time. No, it's not. That's why most people like move to the manga after a couple hundred episodes.
The fact that they can even do that disgusts me.
Like, man. No, but back to One Punch Man though. I really enjoyed this season. It had a lot of really good arcs. I enjoyed especially the the martial arts tournament portion. I thought that was really interesting in terms of like Saitama's like philosophy of being a hero. Him kind of finally coming to terms with, oh shit, I wasn't doing my job. I should actually kind of take this more seriously. And I love the conversation he has with King. His dynamic with King is really interesting because, like,
their friendship as a general statement.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think what makes it so cool is they understand each other because they're the same thing, but on opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Like, King understands Saitama because King is infinitely weaker than everybody else, and then Saitama is stronger than everybody else, and King has this kind of false illusion that he's the Saitama of the world because he ends up like accidentally taking credit for everything. And it's really cool. It's the Hercule trope, but it's actually done to a much better effect than Dragon Ball did it. Like, although as an adult, I appreciate Hercule a lot more than I did as a kid.
Also, real quick, to everyone that doesn't think Gohan is the greatest pimp of all time, Hercule disrespected him and then he went and fucked his daughter. So,
right?
And
like,
also,
y'all need to stop like dissing Gohan because Gohan's got the most game out of anyone in Dragon Ball besides maybe Krillin. Krillin is top pimp in the Dragonverse.
But then we have pretty much the whole crux of this season. the introduction of the Monster Association and the hero hunter Garo.
Garo is fucking awesome. I love Garo. Maybe because I was also that kid for a certain period of time, like especially reading comics growing up. I was like, wait, you know, some of these villains are actually kind of cool. Like, I kind of want to see what would happen if Magneto won. Like, I kind of agree with Magneto. Like,
so, for one, Magneto was right. Two, I was definitely the kid that was way more in love with the kaiju and the crazy ass monsters and villains than I ever was with the neat, clean.
That's what I'm saying, and this is why we grew up as friends. You know, throughout childhood, we agreed on this type of shit. Well, all our friends were all like, yeah, you know, Goku is pretty awesome. Cell's pretty cool though. Cell's pretty.
He's evolving out here in these streets, eating his enemies, becoming greater than he was before.
Like, yeah, Goku's alright, but Cell though.
I have to say, I was a little disappointed with Perfect Cell because of how like trimmed he was.
Yeah.
You know, I expected Perfect Cell to be, I don't know, monstrous, I guess.
Yeah, same. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the concept of Garo because of that. Because I was like, I totally, man, I was there. I've been there. I've had these arguments.
Right. Which is also why I really appreciate people like Guyver and Spawn.
Mm-hmm. And
although I guess
it's really cool that we actually get to see some episodes from his perspective too. So like it doesn't actually frame him as, well, I mean he's still a villain, but it also kind of frames him as like a deuteragonist almost. Like because we get to see so much of his perspective, it's almost as if he's also a protagonist, you know?
Yep, and I also like, well, what I find interesting in this episode, how it ended with Saitama just like taking out this giant centipede monster that Bomb and Bang couldn't take out themselves. Even Janos couldn't take care of it.
No, I mean, to be fair, Genos, like, as cool as Genos is and how much I love Genos' whole thing is he always has to get wrecked. Genos is the Vegeta of One Punch Man. Like, he has to get completely destroyed so Saitama can come in and, you know, clean it up. But also, like, Bang is one of my favorite characters in One Punch Man, and like I also really enjoy his dynamic with Garo. I think it's pretty cool. It's almost that cliche "my student went to the dark side" type trope, but I really like how they play it off. It's pretty dope.
And plus, he and his brother actually work in perfect sync, with each other when they try to fight the giant centipede monster.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Also, like, now that I've actually, like, I haven't read the webcomic, but I've read like the manga version because I like the art better. I actually really enjoyed the power system now. I didn't think there was an actual power system in One Punch Man, but I realized that, like, monstrification, as you could call it, is actually kind of just a product of, like, obsession and kind of a mind over matter thing. Like, example, and I watched a couple of videos on it. That's how I also helped to piece this together. Like, Crab Dude from the first episode of season 1, like, super greedy and obsessed with eating crabs, and so eventually that greed overtook him and he became a crab monster. Like, that's pretty interesting. I think that's a really cool concept.
Right, I definitely think it leans into sort of like traditional Japanese mythology, where like you become a demon if you become overcome by anger or things of that nature.
Yeah, right? and that's why I'm really excited for the eventual. I mean, I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but you know it's coming because it's his goal. I'm excited to see how they handle the monstrification of Garo.
Right, I mean, I don't know. So how to put it? Season 2 brings us up pretty much to the latest chapter in the manga, so I have literally no idea.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
very well could be ultimately leading to Garo's monstrification.
I just hope that Pretty much. I mean, that's what the next arc is going to be. Is like the whole Hero Association versus the Monster Association, and Garo trying to like race through the ranks of the Monster Association, and along the way he slowly becomes a monster. And I know somebody might be like, "Well, that's a spoiler." It's not really a spoiler because it's literally it's been his goal the whole time. So like.
Well, to be fair, we got to see more of the reason why he decided to hunt heroes. And it's honestly a very real sort of situation. Like, when you're the kid who's pretty much isolated from everyone else, and you basically became the person that they kind of see you as or made you out to be.
Yeah, I got you. Real quick, like on the last point for One Punch Man, I want to know, who are y'all's favorite S-class heroes that they introduced this season?
Watchdog Man.
Watchdog Man, that's respectable. That's respectable. I gotta go with my guy Metal Bat. Metal Bat's my dude.
He pulled out work in his fight with Garo.
I always have instant respect for the Pompadour delinquent character. That's always gonna be my dude when it comes to badass anime character tropes. As soon as I see the Pompadour, I'm like, all right, you're gonna be the cool one. All right, I'm gonna rock with you, cause you got freaking Yusuke Urameshi, you got freaking Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Josuke also counts, but Jotaro's the more notable one for it. But you can never go wrong with the Pompadour. Long story short, Jordan, who is your favorite S-class hero introduced this season?
Well, he's still running around like, man, I barely heard him when he was trying to say something. So...
well, we can get back to that.
Well, everything else this season for One Punch Man was extremely solid.
Yep. I'm definitely with you on that one. Also, real quick, can we talk about Senko, since that was technically this season as well?
Well, we can talk about it in our off time since it's not on mine and Jordan's review docket.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
but
never mind.
You can give your final thoughts on spring of 2019 with all the shows that you've watched. That's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Well, spring was not nearly as stacked as winter and fall was, but the good shows that spring had, I really enjoyed. I loved shows like One Punch Man Season 2. I really enjoyed Shield Hero as well, and what are some other ones that I watched? I did a rewatch of Don Machi, which was a lot of fun. I'm really hyped for Season 2 coming up this in the summer. I know that's technically not a spring one, but I rewatched it during the spring season, so I'm counting it. And of course, like I said, I freaking loved the Helpful Fox Senko-san. As someone who is constantly overworking themselves to the point where stress is really, really overtaking, I kind of needed that type of show to help me just be like,
all right. Sure, it had nothing to do with the fact that she's a little fox girl?
The fox girl thing definitely helps, but also it's it's an antidepressant in anime form, man. It's so wholesome and just sweet.
All right, Jeremy. Well, I'm not gonna knock things that bring you a degree of comfort.
Well, yeah, honestly, it's one of those things. I know the internet is gonna loot it to hell and just ruin it, but I enjoy it for the wholesome aspects of it. Like, it's just
a refreshing lack of lewds about that particular anime.
Yeah, which is great. Like, I feel like speaking that is gonna like jinx it and break whatever warding spell the weebs have cast. But for real though, that is awesome. Good job, internet. Like, I'm glad y'all know people need this, because like seriously, it's one of those anime that like kind of it's very simple, and it just teaches you to just sometimes you just need to breathe and relax, not have to worry about like what you have to do every day to live. Like the stresses of work and all the different things you have to deal with in life. Sometimes you just need to enjoy the simple things and the comfort of people. And that's a lesson that just a lot of people in general can benefit from, not just otaku.
Yeah, and I think that's a respectable thing. Well, Jay, since you have something that you need to do at this time,
I'll go ahead and bow out, and just so you guys know, I will be covering individually a lot of the shows we will be reviewing this season. So I'm sure Tony will leave a link to my channel in the description. But as a quick rundown, I'll be covering Magical Senpai, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, Dr. Stone, Fire Force, Vinland Saga, and I believe that's it. I'm gonna watch the Perverts one, the Perverts ecchi, but I don't think I'm gonna cover that because I don't think there's a way I can censor that enough for YouTube to be able to be like, nah, we're not gonna age restrict it.
And since my channel doesn't really need monetization, I have no qualms.
Exactly. This is so I'm perfect. I'm gonna be watching it, but I can't cover it individually because, like, the clickbait I use in some of the ecchi thumbnails is one thing. I can get away with that, but like I can't get away with the premise of will you fall in love with perverts if they're cute? Like, read that premise on MAL and tell me that doesn't sound like a hentai, because it does.
And it's one of those manga that is the most surreal thing on the planet. I will tell you that for a fact.
But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to catching up with you guys next week. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Okay, so let's actually get to the rest of our shows for spring 2019, Jordan. So, let's actually go with We Never Learn.
Right, so We Never Learn came to its conclusion the other day. And I have to say, overall, it was a fairly straightforward and solid series. I found the situations that they ended up being in rather, I guess, I wouldn't say refreshing. I think they leaned into the genre and executed it well,
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
They don't do anything particularly unique, but they do it well, which I think is the hallmark of a great anime, but a good...
I can agree with you there, most definitely. And I just really like that it's leaving it open to actually continue on where that point in the manga left off. And I'm really looking forward to seeing if it gets another season or not. Because the show is good. It just does what it does, and that's perfectly fine. Plus, all the different character interactions at the end was just very amusing to me. And it just kind of ended on a very positive note. Like a very good note for this very good series. Do you have anything else to add, Jordan? Like anything that jumped out at you in this last episode?
In the last episode? No, not really. I think it was a nice way of like having Naruki have like a special moment with each of the girls before we signed off. But I'm wondering what sort of conclusion I'm actually hoping for. You know,
Right, yeah.
like is this going to ultimately be one of those where Naruki fumbles through obliviousness of their affections to the point where they eventually come to an agreement that they want to be friends more than they want to be with Naruki, and none of them end up with anyone, and they just all just like walk off into the sunset together? Because I hate those.
Yeah, and in the manga itself, it plays into the different goals and dreams of the characters. And after this point in the manga, we focus a lot on Naruyuki's goal and ambition. Like, there is a whole... well, for all intents and purposes, there's a whole arc in this manga that... In the manga that really showed Naruyuki struggling to keep his scholarship, like to get his scholarship for college, and just him kind of working through all of that. That's just from my memory, of course. And we also get a storyline focused on Asumi, really driving home the point that for the reason why she wants to be a doctor, to help take on the family clinic, and her parents, yeah, both of her parents, not just her dad, trying to, and the drama surrounding that, which really makes her character grow and just grow in a very good way. But regardless of that, what should we talk about next, Jordan?
Up next would be the Wise Man's Grandchild, which ended as one might expect. It definitely ended on a cliffhanger. We got to see Shin flex on some people and really see how strong the other people in the world are compared to the cannon fodder he's been fighting up to this point. And I'm glad that people can actually go toe to toe with Shin and not just get completely overwhelmed 5 seconds into the fight. Because that would make for a very boring isekai anime, which is actually fairly common, all things considered. Typically, the isekai protagonist is so strong that even the direct underlings of the main boss can't put up a good, decent fight against them.
Yeah, but the demoness really put in work against Shin.
Yeah, she was definitely disrespecting people out here. It was quite embarrassing for them.
But at least they saved the kingdom that they were trying to protect from more damage and whatnot. And I think the series ended, like you said, on a cliffhanger, but I think it's a good cliffhanger. It leaves you wanting more.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm looking forward to the second. Hopefully it rides out well. A lot of people I've noticed were complaining about the pacing, saying that the last few episodes leading up to the final battle sort of felt kind of all over the place, which may or may not be true. It's hard to tell. I think that Shin's romantic development with Cicerine sort of distracted from the main subplot, but I also hate it when they just ignore those sort of things indefinitely in lieu of just pursuing more action scenes. So, I gave it what it was worth. It's not like they dedicated a whole 3 episodes to it or anything, but it did definitely feel like a random beach episode.
Yep, I could definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, so long as they get a second season, I think I'm prepared to forgive that slight in the grand scheme of the series. But I definitely don't like it when they dedicate one of 12 episodes overall to something of that effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like it cheapens the entire experience. Unless, of course, it's something like, I don't know, Valkyrie Drive Mermaid, right? Who gives a shit?
Okay, so since you weren't here for the past couple of weeks to do the reviews, what are your final thoughts on Why the Hell You Here, Teacher? Because, like you've told me, you didn't really finish the rest of Fairy Gun and you were behind on it.
Right. I mean, Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher? I definitely think was a show that I would not have watched if it was if they had full length episodes. It was funny and it was fine to an extent, but it's pretty much just a hentai, all things considered.
Yep.
Still hilarious though. I enjoyed watching every episode, and I will be rewatching it when it comes out uncensored later in this year.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's
everyone
really my biggest take on it. I mean, each arc is essentially just school student has illicit relationship with teacher that develops progressively over their arc and culminates with them being romantically involved until the end of the series, where all of their friend group is dating all of their teachers.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think the only one with any degree of common sense would have to be the nurse, who at least waited until her lover was graduated before she did anything crazy.
Yep, that is true. These are the facts. These are the facts.
It's definitely in compromising situations constantly.
Yep, very true. So, for the Otaku Soapbox, so let's give our final thoughts for spring 2019 and talk about the shows that we will be reviewing, well, at least are on the table for review for summer 2019. So I think overall spring, much like what Jay said, it was a very solid anime season with some standouts, with One Punch Man Season 2 and the final part of Shield Hero for this season. I think it all was very serviceable. And I think that's pretty much what spring was. Very serviceable. So what are your thoughts on all of that, Jordan?
I'm sorry, Tony. Could you repeat it one more time?
So, so what are your thoughts on how the spring anime season of this year, how it turned out to be, and just your final thoughts on it as a whole?
You keep cutting out. You want me to give the anime soapboxes about how my opinions of the season as a whole shaped out?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. I think as a whole, the season has been fairly solid. You've had your mix of good and pretty mediocre animes, which I find to be pretty typical of a lot of seasons. I wouldn't say this is a season of like many hits, but there are definitely some memorable standouts. I'm looking forward, and I always really feel like this season, as a general statement, each year is sort of just a filler for the more heavy-hitting ones in the late summer and winter, you know?
Yeah, I could agree with you there.
So I guess I'm glad that some good things came out of it, because some years there's just so few things that come out in these like intermediate, lesser packed seasons that just sort of make the year feel long.
Definitely.
But I definitely think we're coming into like the high point of a lot of like major impact or like high impact major budget animes starting up here real soon.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, what shows for summer 2019 are on your mind to add to the review docket for summer 2019?
Right. Well, I mean, is it okay to pick up Girls in a Dungeon? Season 2 kicks off.
Definitely. So that's a definite on the list there.
I am considering watching Doctor Stone. I haven't decided. Vinland Saga. I hear so many. I mean, it's already 3 episodes in, so I mean.
Oh, it is really?
No, I lied. I misread. Gonna probably check that out. The firefighter one. It definitely looks hyped up, so I have to see if it goes together. He's the kind of cheap magician I'll probably watch to some extent. I don't know if I'll watch How Heavy Are Your Dumbbells. I have no idea if that will make it into my list of things. What else? Honestly, I think those are the big ones. Everything else will just probably play by ear.
Yeah, and aren't we forgetting the Would You Date a Pervert if she is cute?
What?
That one anime Jay was referring to where he can't review it on his own because, well, it's too lewd for his channel, I guess. And with my channel, since I'm not on the road to monetization, I don't give a shit.
Right, I hear you, but I don't know what it is. Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
I see it. Because I always look at analyst. Pretty much almost exclusively gives me the Japanese names.
Yeah, it most certainly does that.
Okay, here we go. Are you willing to fall in love with a pervert so long as she's a cutie?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably check it out. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's our tentative list for the time being. The only real definite for sure is Danmachi Season 2. Everything else is all going to be played by ear. Well, since we're actually watching these things, it's mostly... Should we just play it on site?
I feel like beyond the ones that we're 100% going to watch, I just watch the first 3 episodes of the season and then give our take on it.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
There, if we're going to continue, do the episode by episode update.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's perfectly fine on my end. So, with that being said, folks, this has been Serpentine 451, and concluding another episode of Weeb Warriors. Thank you for joining me tonight, Jordan. And,
no problem, Tom.
And a big thanks to Jay for actually joining us for this summer. And, like he said, I will make sure to actually add links to his channel in the description below. But we're going to be tuning out tonight, folks. Things just got really hectic for a lot of us, really. So, we'll catch you next time.